Hello and thanks for tuning in to Future Fit HR. My name's Perry Timms and this is part one of a three-part narrated version of a speech I gave to CIPD Scotland for the Centenary conference held at the Glasgow Central Hotel on the 8th of March 2013. So what you have before you is part one of a three-part replication of that speech online. So if you couldn't make it then, you can hear it now, and if you did make it then and wanted to replay it, hope you enjoy it again second time round, and for those first time round, hope you enjoy it too. So I'll begin. Future Fit HR. We hear it all the time, the pace of change, turbulence and the adaptability we need to cope with it. The future looks more uncertain and unpredictable than ever. Yet, ignore what might be and go with the flow, and you could end up like another high street closure or another cold quango. Times are tough. And in that situation, is this then the time for HR to step up to the plate? Or is it time for HR to just batten down the hatches? I'll look at megatrends, workforce dynamics and the synergy between people and technology, and I'll share my slightly anarchic views on what I think we in the HR profession need to be doing more of now in order to get the right balance and help achieve the right outcomes for our future. And with that in mind, I'm really proud to be part of the HR profession, especially celebrating 100 years as we're doing this year for the CIPD Centenary. And why am I so proud of the HR profession? Well, we get to not only look after, protect, assure, equip, skill and reward the most intangible, most invaluable and the most predictable aspect of work, our people. So I very much represent someone who's on what Dan Pink called a transcendent purpose, where it's more a calling, what I do, a career vocation that I see as maximising people's potential in pursuit of societal good, economic comfort, and to help Abraham Maslow achieve what he defined as self-actualisation. Now, as well as Dan Pink coining the term transcendent purpose in his amazing Drive speech, he also talked about people being purpose maximisers, and I think that's what I'm definitely in the game for, a purpose maximiser. Whatever purpose people are aligned to through their employ, I want to continue to be a part of improving the situation around people's choices and options of where they work, what they do and how that impacts positively on their lives. So, talk of choice, and that's my first point to make a big deal of really. People need more choice about where they ply their trade. Organisations need more choice to get the right people in the roles that make their business thrive, and HR needs to choose where to focus the profession's skills, passion and ingenuity to allow those other two choices to be as productive as possible. Now, to focus on where HR should choose to pin its efforts, it's my first attempt at letting you know what I think HR needs more of. I think it needs attitude with acumen. I still feel the strength of the argument currently posed by people in HR that it's not as appreciated as it should or could be. However, I think we're partly to blame for that, and I also think that existing myths, some arrogance, some misunderstanding from our colleagues in the business is also leading to this underappreciated state where tolerance is probably the best we can hope for, and generally where frustration and disdain is expressed by senior leaders, particularly in the recent research published by People Management, and that's really disappointing to see. Disappointing, but it should act as a spur for us. So our initial response may be one of anger, but I think we should stand our ground, and we should look at this as a chance to prove ourselves and stand strong in the face of such criticism, not shrink into the corner and push a few more policies out. Let's channel our energy towards turning that tide. We can do that by being honest in dialogue. We can say to our business, so what's your dream state HR function? What do you want us to do more of? And we can take every strand of that conversation, splice it into our own professional insight and allow our creativity, bravery and morality to come through. We should work with the legal experts around people law, and we look at the trends in business psychology, learning and behavioural science, and we provide an alternative. We show there's something better, and an alternative that has those two things, attitude and acumen. Even Winston Churchill believed in this. He said, attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference, and I believe that. Now these are my founding pillars of what I call punk HR. Why punk? A quick look at the beige and pointless music industry in the mid-70s, and people who wanted an alternative created punk rock. 3 minutes of anger-channeled rebellion, political commentary, frustration, alternative thinking and good old-fashioned fun, fused with a stiff little fingers salute to the establishment. People didn't know what to do about it. It was like 1950s rock and roll, but with more anger and expression through clothes, music, outrageous gestures, and of course an anarchic view, which formed the political persuasion of this movement. People took it to be destructive, divisive and damaging, yet it overhauled a music industry which was flagging. Sound familiar? HR needs a punk overhaul, not a makeover. That's fake and too temporary. An overhaul. Now, it might be rebellious to the point of being counterproductive, so our secret to acceptance of such a movement is in disruptive innovation. For in disruptive innovation lies the secret to success, where change is not something inflicted upon you, but change is something which you orchestrate. Change is something which you get involved in and disrupt. But why don't I call it disruptive HR then? Well, I think we've got enough business jargon, and I think it's probably about time that we had something which denotes a movement in HR, not just more linguistics which turn people off. Will we ever see a doctorate in punk HR? Will there ever be a master's in punk HR? I don't know. But here's Howard T. Jacobs, who's known as the punk professor, and he's from Tampere University. So maybe we might have some academics who are a bit punk. Maybe we might have people teaching on our curriculums who themselves have a bit more attitude, and we prepare our brand new professionals for what the real world's all about with a bit of attitude and acumen, as I said earlier on. You may recall I opened up by saying, is it time for HR to step up to the plate or to batten down the hatches? I think having a rebellious attitude is about stepping up, so let's be realistic about this. It is about rebel, but with a cause. The cause of creating more belief, trust and surety in your people propositions. Help your business survive, thrive and do good. Your belief is your 3-minute song with chords and produced, distributed by a corporate giant. Your attitude is the content of the 3-minute symphony, urging difference, moving people's hearts and minds and generating energy towards something better. I think that's clear. It's about stepping up to the plate. I'll use some of my own experience as a dutiful L&D practitioner. I was very focused on what the business leads were telling me I needed to do, where I would work really hard to meet that need, and then something was nagging in my mind. I wasn't as good as I could be, and so for me it boiled down to one thing: that in order to look after others, stimulate others and build belief, I must look after myself, be stimulated more than anyone else, and build belief in what I'm all about. HR spends so much time looking after other people, we often forget ourselves as people too. We urge people in the business to learn how to coach, yet we barely lift a coaching muscle ourselves with our colleagues and teams. We urge the business to think differently and create an alternative that builds energy and drive, yet we work on cases, sit and email everyone and have a hierarchical structure ourselves. We want to be taken seriously, yet we don't even know what products the business is working on or what the latest research is saying in our operating field. It's time to break out of our space. We need to learn not just textbook HRM through the traditional channels. We need to know more about entrepreneurship. We need to understand the balance sheet of the business, and we need to feel what the business's customer service proposition actually is. Only then can we say, you know those values we help produce? Well, live them. They have a point. They make us different. We don't have enough insight into psychology, anthropology, sociology, neuroscience, data analysis, and we think that's someone else's job. It belongs in the business or in academia. In a tweet-fueled world, we're still living through internal memos. Our learning muscles need building up. We need to stimulate and agitate our business. It's a conversation about workforce planning, business. So we've looked at the research from the think tank into the model, and we're ready to expand. HR, we need a recruitment campaign for 200 people. We've already got facilities on the desk space, and we also need to bring in some experienced account managers from another part of the business to lead it. Blah blah blah. HR, okay, I'll put an advert in the paper and call the agency. We need to do a selection exercise for managers, so give us 4 months and it'll be ready. This research has been out for 2 months already, HR, so our competitors probably have a steal on it already, so why does this take so long? We need it next month. Typical. I suppose you'll tell me now that I can't use social media tools for this work either, as there's a ban on it. Feels a bit familiar, that one. So how about this one instead? HR goes to the business this time. Hey business leader, I noticed that report issued by the Trade magazine. You were involved in that, weren't you? Does this green light mean it's an area of business we can now capture? I've just spoken to the temp agency about creating a campaign, and they can be ready and have people in next month. We've already got 8 managers left on our talent pipeline promotion ready list, and we can also invoke our home working pilot for some people. It's also a good job we worked on social learning and lifted social media banners. I suspect this one will be driven by Facebook and Tumblr users, won't it? Anyway, let me know how you'd like to proceed. Sometime later, business leader to his director. HR are on the ball. We can hit that deadline next month. I'm confident of that. We could beat the others to the market here, and that means a big chunk of publicity. Shall I talk to marketing? By the way, I was offered another job, but if this comes off, I'm staying here. Just thought you'd like to know that. Okay, that's a little bit tweaked, but let's hope that's a professional discussion that happens a little bit more often in your part of the world. That's the end of part 1. Hope to see you in part 2 soon. Thanks for listening so far.